Welcome to our Afluencer podcast special treat today. We're on the AI thread. We've got Divine Tumenta, founder of Clevopy.ai, using a marketing guru as well, using various marketing tools, including influencer marketing to promote Clevopy. Divine, welcome. Let's get into a little bit of background about yourself. And can you tell us about the path that you took to create Clevopy.ai?
I think I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. Ever since I was 19, I've always created products, sold them. So walking up to Clevopy, I actually run a consulting company currently that focuses on helping clients get their ads on Google, Facebook. So just creating content was always a challenging thing to do, right? Coming up with constant content every day for 16 clients, it can be very challenging. So I started using all the AI tools out there. They were doing okay, they were good. But what I realized is they were too limited on how much content you could create without necessarily subscribing or paying for a plan. So what I decided is maybe I'll create something where it's more flexible, where people can actually create content, but not have the limits on word counts that other platforms actually have. And that's where Clevopy was born. It took me about a year to really figure out a game plan for it, from developing the software to getting it linked in a way that people can actually utilize it effectively. And then, so we launched back in April and it's been growing pretty well so far.
That's great. And notice that your app has high versatility. So from image generation, short form content for ads, long form, of course, for the blogs. I saw 10x in terms of writing speed, which is attractive to me as someone who writes often, available in 12 languages. How did these features come about? Were these also driven by the demand of your clients from your marketing agency, stuff that you needed yourself, a combination of the two?
Combination. So yes, I did need the tools for myself, but I also realized that, hey, this could be a big thing to help all the small businesses out there, freelancers out there that are having a hard time coming up with content that could be edited. Obviously, I'm not going to advise anyone to use AI content, just the way it is, right? It's always good to go back, do some editing, but it helps us a guideline to build your idea, to help you create your content much quicker than, let's say, if you wanted, a blog created in a week or so, it could probably take you a few days to create it, right? Depending on if you already have the idea in place, you could just go right in there, type in, get your ideas, get some topics that you want to write on, get some headlines you want to write on, and there you go. You're ready to start writing your content. So it really facilitates the process for creating anything you want to create when it comes to text content.
Very cool tool. Also, hot space, getting crowded, or at least from a, hey, we do this also standpoint. So what would you say your biggest advantage is for Clevopy in terms of you versus competing platforms? Is it your versatility? Is it, you mentioned the authentic nature of it, right? You can't just copy and paste AI tools like perhaps people want to or say that you can. So what do you view as your advantage over the other competitors or quote unquote competitors, tools that say they do the same thing as you?
So if you've noticed, almost every tool has an AI integrated into it today, right? But the thing with Clevopy is it's unique in a way where it's like your project management system too, right? So every content that you create automatically gets stored in your folders. And those folders, you can edit them. You can store the content there. You can create client folders within the platform. So you can never really say, hey, I got to go to Google Docs to do my editing or whatever, right? So it helps as a unique platform in the sense that it's your project management. You can also collaborate with your teammates if you have an enterprise plan. So it's very intuitive in that way. And not only that, but you don't have the word count limit, which is what limits a lot of other, people from using other platforms out there, right? It's like if you're using a free plan, you only have so many words to use. The free plan we offer 5 free tools. There's no limit on the word counts. You could use them as long as you want forever. Then obviously we have the other premium tools where, it needs a subscription for, but also you're getting a suite of tools to use for anything you want to create. Other platforms offer a very limited amount of tools, although very lenient focus on just, hey, we create content, We create marketing content. That's our specialty. If you want to create your ad copy, if you want to create blogs, if you want to create, generate whatever, a company name that you're probably just having a hard time trying to create. So it's everything there for you, right? So it makes it easy for you to be able to go there, get the job done, and never worry about going somewhere else to complete it. So it's a one-stop shop.
I love that combo there that you talked about of both the organic growth for Clevopy in terms of creating the blog posts, social media content, right? And then you've got the paid ads the tool can help right with. Now, you also own a consulting agency called Tumos Consulting, is that right? Which is more focused on online advertising. So on this note, do you think most businesses should be focusing on both paid and organic, or is it an either or? If you're starting off, do you find it easier to get traction with the paid because you can just put your credit card in, or should you start organic from day one? What's your recommendation on a new up and coming business in terms of the blend that they should think about in terms of organic versus paid?
I get this question a lot from people who are trying, because I also advise, people who are planning on starting companies. If you have ideas and you don't know how to get out, a starting point, I can help you out with those starting points, right? What I usually say is paid, if you want instant gratification in a way, paid is the way to go. But let's say if you think you don't need leads, you don't need sales right now, and you want to take the time to build an actual following or maybe more brand awareness out there, you can start writing content. Just posting content, sharing your social media, reaching out to influencers like Afluencer, which that's something that I'm using today, which is very effective. So that's really where I stand on that. But I will say paid is usually for someone who needs to get going now. And then organic substitutes that over time as you build more content or create more content and build more traffic. Then that helps to subsidize your paid search initiatives. So, yep. But I would say paid if you want to go right now.
Yeah, I love that your subsidy over time analogy. I think that's perfect because we also on our end work with brands who are getting out there. They've been working on the product, they're launched, and they're trying to figure out the marketing. And I always say, hey, figure out what you want, where you want to be 3-4 years from now. We started with our influencer content. We started in 2019. We started doing content right away, sending out newsletters, social media posts, even though you're talking to nobody at the time. To your point, though, you're trying to grow that. So when you're 4 or 5 years down the road, you can have that working and you can start to peel back the paid stuff.
You can leverage it.
Or the paid stuff keeps going, right? But you've got this organic side that helps kind of boost that. So I think that's great. So with that, I'm going to grill you on the future then. So we look at Divine's crystal ball here in terms of future advertising, online marketing, influencers, creators. What are your kind of predictions? How do you see the trends going for the next few years in terms of areas of focus on the online marketing realm?
I mean, at this point, right, when you look at the industry as a whole, I think influencers have actually been a very, very effective way of marketing your business. Actually, for startups, it's actually one of the best, right? Like I'm seeing that with Clevopy currently. So it makes sense to be able to start using influencers. Why? Because you're already getting user-generated content. You could use that, you could reuse that. And not only that, but you can also have partners that are evangelists for your brand that can help your brand grow over time. And it's not, there's no losing there. It's a win-win situation. So it's really about just building a strategy around that, find the right influencers, and then, shooting for the stars. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a process, right? You want to start now so you can start building that over time. And then not only that, but subsidizing that with paid too also helps. Remarketing campaigns with paid. You're running influencer campaigns. It's always good to have some remarketing going around that to drive back people to your website or your app, whatever it is that you created. So, I say influencers are one of the biggest factors in marketing, especially as we have all the social medias like Threads coming on right now. I think they're probably going to start offering, services like that, and people want to promote more products. It's a good time to start using influencers.
So when I hear you talk about influencer stuff, I love it. It's kind of like when you're working out at a gym, you see someone who's really strong, fit, whatever. I want to do what they do. So I want to know what you do in terms of your influencer marketing. I know you've got a collab with us, and it's something that we like to talk about and hear what you're doing. And also from a the influencers who are listening to this podcast, watching this podcast, how can they work with you? So that's my long-winded way of asking, what are you doing with influencers today in terms of your current collab? What are the opportunities for people to work with you? What would you recommend as say, hey, this is what Divine's doing currently with his influencer marketing. This is what you want to think about.
Well, I'm still starting out, so it's pretty small on a small scale, but eventually I have plans to grow this out even further as we grow organically. So the first step is finding someone that already has content around your brand, that has an audience around your brand, similar brand, right? Not around your brand, but similar brands like yours. So let's say if you're in fashion, you want to find someone that's related to fashion that can promote to the audience and can resonate with the audience. So it's really about strategy here when you're starting out, just building that, and then organically you start to get other influencers. Like I get about maybe 10 or 20 applicants per day. So it's pretty cool, right? If someone's interested in your brand, they reach out to you, you do an evaluation of them. If it makes sense, you reach out to them, right? Currently, most influencers I work with run reels on Instagram, shorts, stuff like that. So that's where I want to start. And then eventually probably going to grow out to like post and then all the things that, might help organically to like blogs and stuff like that. But what I do is most influencers that I work with, I do offer them a plan with Clevopy so they can also work. It's like building a partnership, right? Everyone I want to work with now, it's about figuring out people who can, how can I say, trust the brand. And then not only that, but feel free to promote the brand like it's yours. And you get rewarded for that. So I do have rates based on those promotions. Obviously, I don't want to disclose that, but it's helped me structure my influencer strategy in a way that over time, I see this growing as maybe might be sources of traffic. So just start small, start building, make connections, build connections, make them stronger over time. And then from there, it's a win-win situation.
That's great. So you're looking at it, the applications that you're getting per day, which is great. That's kind of like the front end of your sales funnel or your partner funnel.
Right.
And ultimately, you might try work with someone. They'll do a reel or a video, right? Or a short, as you said. And then if it works, maybe you work with them again long-term. And that's kind of the goal, is to build that long-term partnership.
Correct. That's the goal. Yep. And not only reels, but different type of content, right? Over time. I mean, we can always change the content type, give you a post this time around or whatever, but currently I'm mostly focused on video content just because that resonates a lot. And you could do a tutorial because you have access to the platforms. It's easy for you to do a tutorial on what you're working on and how the platform works. So it makes things very easy for the influencer to work with me, because you also gain a free access to the tool, and that helps you out with all the things that you might want to do, right? So yeah, it's a pretty interesting strategy, but it works pretty well.
Great to hear that using the reels also, we find that it's working best today as well in terms of the reels, the videos, right? It's been that way. Well, I found out we were actually later to the game in terms of figuring this out, but it seems like for the last 2022, 2023, so the last couple of years, since TikTok took off, right? And Instagram has been trying to catch up with them. Is that what you found? Is that the reels kind of overtook the posts in that time frame?
Yeah, interaction was much higher, and people were more versed to sit down and watch a video than actually read something. So it just makes sense, right? The short-term, time span, people just want to watch something, absorb it, and move on. But once they like something, if they watch something and it feels like it's intriguing to them, they take action. So it's also one of those things where it's more down the funnel when it comes to people making a decision, because now they're seeing something visible to them, not just reading it. So it makes it more interesting.
That's an interesting point about being down the funnel. That's a question we get a lot from brands who are new to influencer marketing that want to know, well, how do I measure ROI, which is it's evolving, shall we say, in this space. There's the engagement rate, which is decent for predicting ROI, at least in terms of like crude tools can be. But your point on a video or reel being farther down the funnel is really interesting, I think, because that, to the question many advertisers have, that's when they're looking to reach people, is when they're down the funnel, but they're new to this space. They're not sure how to do it. And I've never heard it described that way. So that's really interesting.
I mean, that's what it is, right? If you think about it, when I run ads on Google, video is more top funnel. It's more for awareness, right? I'm putting it out there, trying to build my brand. For an influencer, they already have an audience that trusts them. So they're telling the audience that, hey, this is what I'm using. This is what it's doing for me. And you don't need to go through another step, right? It's already there. Whoever makes a decision from that is either going to purchase or is going to consider purchasing. So to me, it's considered down the funnel.
Makes sense. You're running in the Clevopy's case, you're running the Clevopy TV commercial, but on their platform, right? And they are the sponsor as well. So they're the spokesperson for you.
Correct.
Great. So we'll get you out of here on this, Divine. We've got all your 20,000 hats that you wear on a daily basis. How can people work with you? Let's go over all the options in terms of joining Clevopy's Collab. We know we've got you hosted here on Afluencer, and we will get the link below these channels also. But how can people work with you on an influencer standpoint, your consulting agency? Take us through Divine Incorporated in terms of all the ways that people can find you, work with you.
Simple. For Clevopy, I'm very involved on a daily basis. So reaching out to support, reaching out to just contact us, I'll probably be involved in that. So you probably get a message from me directly. I do have, 3 other people in-house that help out, but it's a startup. So I try to be involved as much as possible. It helps a long way when your clients know that you're there for them. So to me, that's just always been my motto in everything I do. On the consultant side, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on Facebook. You can reach out to me on Instagram. You can reach out to me directly on tumasconsulting.com. Schedule out a 30 minutes consultation with me, whatever you need help with. I'm there to help you. Again, it's free. It's 30 minutes of my time and I'll give it for you for free. So it doesn't have to be a potential client, but I'll make sure that I'm able to give you the right advice based on your situation, right? And if you choose to partner with me, I call because that's what I'm there for. We'll see what we can do for you.
Well, that's great. Thank you for that consultation offer. And we'll get the info, your LinkedIn info in the show notes here as well. Thanks again for joining us, Divine. So man of many hats, give you some marketing advice. You can scale his brain with his product, the Clevopy, create your content for you as well. So thanks again, Divine. It's a really fun conversation.
Thank you, Brett.